Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk movies, television, and wrestling. I'm, of course, Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Avatar: Fire and Ash. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share them to leave a like, comment, let me know your thoughts on Avatar: Fire and Ash, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, man, I love this franchise. I really do. I cannot help how much I enjoy these films. I really liked the first one. I think I was the only one in my family who loved it. And to me, the second one was worth the wait. I think it's better than the first one. I think it's an overall better film. I think it was one of the best films made that year when it was, 2022 or was it 2021 when we finally got The Way of Water coming out. But either way, whenever that movie came out, it was 2022. Or 2023. It wasn't 2021, I know that for a fact. But either way, I do believe it was worth the 13-year wait. And I think this one, again, just continues to capitalize and just gets things a little bit better. I do not know how this movie doesn't win Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. I feel like it's a lock to be nominated. And well, like, yeah, it's Avatar. Of course it is. But when I tell y'all, there was a shot, and it's a very simple shot. And by all means, this one could have been the one shot that they shot practically. For sure. But I do believe these are borderline animated films and that everything is done digitally. There's a shot with water and rocks, okay? It's that simple. It's just water and rocks. And I was like, wow. I literally said in the theater, wow, that looks absolutely amazing with how clear and crisp that it is. Now, when I first came out of this film, on my immediate thoughts on TikTok, I said, it's in contention for my favorite film of the year. I absolutely loved everything about this, the drama, the high stakes. There were problems I had with the film, but overall, I really loved it. But I can see that it's going to be a very polarizing film. Even though I think, again, this is in contention for my favorite of the three, but I think it's probably going to be my second. I think Way of Water is still going to top it. I need to rewatch it for sure, but as I was walking out, even though I was thinking, that was great, I absolutely loved it. Some people were like, they lost the plot. I can't believe they did that. No, they did too much with this one. There were some people who were unhappy. And at first, I didn't fully understand that reaction. Like, I understood some of the qualms I had, and I still have those problems now after sleeping on it for a day. But I do now understand how someone can say, no, they completely lost the plot. Because now sleeping on it, there are some other issues that I have with the film. But before we get into that, let's get into the positives here. Again, for the characters that we have progressing from movie 1, 2, and 3, absolutely great. I think they not necessarily right the wrong, because I did like the kids. But when it came to the second one of the minor criticism I had was that the kids are the lead in the movie, which is fine. Like I would say The Way of Water is Novak's movie, and there's absolutely no problem with that. Again, I think The Way of Water is probably the best of the three, but I was missing and yearning for, Jake, Neytiri, the people who I followed in the first film. I wanted them to be more at a focus point in this one. And in this third one, they are. It's actually really funny, okay? Because they switch out the narrator in this one. Jake isn't narrating this third one. And I won't give out who's narrating it, but it's really funny how, okay, yeah, it makes sense for this person to be the narrator due to the second one, but if Jake's going to actually be the lead of this third film, shouldn't he have continued to narrate in this one? Now, I don't know if they plan on switching out the narrators for the final two films, because, again, they plan on doing 5. It just depends on the box office of this one, is that, maybe in part 4 is this person, and part 5 is this person. They're like, well, we can't go 3 movies in a row that Jake does it, so let's just go ahead and switch it out now. Because I was like, well, I think Jake should have kept it, because again, this really truly is his movie in a lot of ways. And again, I think that's a positive when it comes to it. Like, he started this film, and like actually be focusing on him throughout the whole entire movie is pretty good. I also really like the dynamic between him and Quaritch. Miles Quaritch. Our villain that we've been having through all 3 movies, and he gets a companion in this one. You see it in the trailers with Varang, the leader of the Fire Tribe, in this universe, and they kind of go to Star Wars in a lot of ways in this one, as that Cordish has now been, in this Avatar skin for a long time. He cannot leave it. So he kind of has brand new eyes, and they're trying to portray this, hey, you're not the same person. You're not him. You're this person. You're this Cordish, and now maybe you should see some things within a later eye of it. And that constant debate and those constant communications, like, I love it when Jake and Cordish fight, and they fight a good chunk throughout this whole entire film. Don't get me wrong. But when they're just talking and they're just being and they're debating with the philosophies that they have, to me it was very, very engaging throughout the whole entire film. This actually presents a lot of ideas in this world. Like, there's a dynamic between Neytiri and Jake, and there's this conversation that they have where, about, living in hate and all these things, and why Neytiri feels a certain type of way about something, and the revelation of that and what's revealed is very, very deep. Now, I do wish we could have gone into it a little bit more. It just felt like, hey, it was a conversation. Now get it, when you're in love and you're married, y'all gonna say things that piss each other off all the time, and some things come for pass, but you choose to love them, right? So you just let it go. Hey, I love you. Let's hug it out, and we'll move on from there. But I would like to expand on it a little bit more, especially with how much of a focus Neytiri had on this, and I felt like she really had a big growth throughout this whole entire film, even though I felt like we didn't dig into it that much. This movie is 3 hours and 15 minutes long, okay? And in some ways, I felt like I wish it could have been a little bit longer, because, again, like a character of Neytiri, who does have a full-on arc within this film. Well, we'll see when we get to part 4 if she does reset a little bit, because, again, there was a little meat left on the bone when we get to this progression that she has from where she starts, from where she ends, on her positioning on certain things on this world, right? And once we get to the end of that, and she gets to that revelation, I was like, man, I'm happy for her. But if I didn't have the other 2 movies, and even with the other 2 movies, I still don't feel like she fully arced into that. I don't feel like it was completely earned. Now, this could be something that we continue on within part 4 and part 5. But again, within this movie, when they gave it such a focus point, where in the other 2 movies, I felt like it was within the background, well, minus part 1. But, in the second movie, I felt like it was within the background for the most part. It was just something that we could have dug into a little bit more, to me, personally. Now, everything we've done with Novak, who, again, was very front and center. Again, I feel like The Way of Water is his movie in a lot of ways. Again, he has a big focus. I like everything that we're building up between him and Jake and that dynamic, especially after everything that happened in the second movie with losing the son, how Novak feels very guilty that it was his fault. And, in some ways, Jake does agree that it was Novak's fault that his son is dead. And the arc that Jake goes through of, like, hey, he resorting back to this military type thing, and, he's not really treating him like a son. He's treating him like a soldier in a lot of ways. It's very, very interesting to see. And then it just kind of drops. Midway through the movie, they get separated, and they're kind of going on their own journeys, and Novak kind of falls within the background the whole entire film until, it's time for the big final battle, and then here he comes back, and then they have a conversation. I'm just like, man, again, if I didn't have the other movie and then I had this, it still has a punch. Like, I still feel it. I'm still like, hell yeah. But I could have been like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? If we would have just gave it a little bit more time. Now, overall, I just don't think this movie needed to be 3 hours and 15 minutes. I think 3 hours was good. I'm not saying cut a whole 40 minutes out. No. I think you could have cut 15 minutes out. There was actually one scene in particular that I do feel like we could have cut. Although, if you do cut it, then a character moment that happens later on doesn't have as much of an impact. But that, you can either cut that scene out, or you could keep it in, or trim it down a little bit. 3 hours and 5 minutes is, I think, is the sweet spot for this film, was the longest it could go. Because as we're transitioning from Act 2 to Act 3, you feel it. You really do feel it. And, a runtime doesn't make or break a movie. I have been in 90-minute movies that have felt longer than the movie I just watched, Avatar: Fire and Ash, right? I have been in 3-hour movies that didn't feel like that whatsoever, that it just flew by. It's all about tempo. It's all about pacing. It's what's in your film, what's not in your film. How is it correlating throughout everything? It's it's a very tough thing to do. And this one, to me, I just think, yeah, you overcooked it just a little bit. Still good. I still very much enjoyed it. But, some things fell a little short, like Neytiri's arc, like the arc of Jake and Novak. I felt like, our main selling point of this movie was the Fire Tribe. Seeing Varang and, in her full form, and seeing what dynamic that she brings. And I will say, when that Fire Tribe is in, boy, they raise the stakes up. They turn up the heat, full pun intended. And, you really do feel like any one of our players could be lost at any moment, because she just does not care. But at the same time, then later on, they get kind of pushed to the background too. And then they don't get really brought back until it's time to bring everything down. And again, it just feels like, okay, well, this is part 3 of 5. So therefore, we'll explore them a little bit more as we continue. And as I continue to do this review, and as I continue to think about this, and I've been thinking about this ever since I first came out of it, the biggest weakness point of this film is that it knows it's going to get more. And that it knows it's part of, it is part of an ongoing cycle. I say there's a character moment that happens in this movie that's later on. That is a big F yeah moment. And it is so satisfying to watch. But it's only because I watched the previous films to really fully feel that. While in this one, if you save it for this moment in the third film to have this big moment with this character who is, by all intents and purposes, in this 3 hour and 15-minute movie, probably only getting 15 minutes of that screen time. You get to this moment that's really huge. They deliver it very big in the finale. And you're just like, man, if I didn't have the other movies, I really probably wouldn't have felt anything at all whatsoever in this movie. And again, when you get to part 3, yeah, if you're coming in, you've seen the other 2 movies, right? But I do feel like the best trilogies, the best franchises are the ones that you can go into, and you don't need to necessarily watch the other 2 in order to fully enjoy it. Each movie really stands on its own. While here, Fire and Ash, I really did feel like you needed the other 2 to fully appreciate everything that we were doing in this film, because all the things that were being presented and all these other dynamics that would be kind of play will get put in the background, because they know, okay, well, we got 2 other movies where we can actually tackle these on. And again, I think that's a fair criticism at the end of the day. If you can't present it in your own movie and you can't complete it in this movie that you are doing, to me, even franchise or not, you probably shouldn't present it at this point unless you're going to present it later on to know, okay, this is something that we're going to focus on within a later film. But again, overall, when I tell you, all 3 films really cultivated into this, it really felt like a good solid trilogy. I was bought into the drama. I was bought into the stakes of this whole entire film. I laughed a good chunk throughout this movie, surprisingly, from Quidditch. He is very funny in this movie throughout. He got me a good belly laugh throughout. The use of Spider is really good, and what he represents to not just to the tribes, but to all of Pandora and the humans moving forward. I really curious to see what those implications are going to be, and he's going to be a big vocal point moving forward. I heard the rumor within the 4th movie we're going to go to Earth, and I can kind of see how we can get there, but we'll have to wait until 2029 to see that. So yeah, if I had to rank this on the limit scale, where it goes sour lemon at the bottom, bad movie. Expired store-bought lemonade, bad movie, but hey, there's some good parts in it. Store-bought lemonade, good, but hey, there's some bad. Lemonade, it's a movie, it's good. Freshly squeezed lemonade, very, very good. Minor problems here and there. And the strawberry lemonade at the very top, because it's the best kind of lemonade. I feel content with giving this a freshly squeezed lemonade. If you would have asked me yesterday when I first came out of the film, I would have said strawberry lemonade. But now that I have had time to sit on it, I can understand all the criticisms that are with the film, and I do have my problems within it, even a few days out. But man, I'll be lying if I told you I wasn't ready to go back to go see the movie. Like, I want to go see it again. I don't mind sitting there for the 4 hours if you count trailers before the film. It's a very, very fun ride, and it's a lot of fun. I love these characters. I love the world. I love everything that we were doing in this film. Oh, I forgot to bring up Kiri. I just looked at my notes briefly, but what we do with her as well, and what her implications are when it comes to Pandora, and just everything within the lore. And there's a lot of lore adding in this one. Maybe we could have trimmed that back a little bit too in this film. But you know, everything we did with Kiri, everything we did with Novak when he is used, it was really, really good. Jake and Neytiri being at the forefront for the most part, to me, it was a big plus. What we're doing with Cordage and what things that we could do, again, when it comes to, you know, if you've seen Star Wars, you know, light side and dark side, that's pretty interesting to see that we could play with as we continue on in these movies. But yeah, I can't give it the strawberry lemonade anymore. To me, it is freshly squeezed. Very good movie. If you are interested in these films, I think you're going to enjoy it, and I think you're going to have a good time. If you're someone, like I have a friend who's not into these movies whatsoever, and it's like a constant debate between us two, this is one I'm going to be like, yeah, probably don't go. That's it to him, because I don't see how this movie is going to justify the amazingness that I do believe this trilogy is. But let me know y'all thoughts of it down in the comment section. Leave a like if you made this far with the review. We went surprisingly pretty long for this one. I do greatly appreciate if you did make it this far. And of course, hit the subscribe button as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. Don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give your all. So squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.